Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
This is the Mountaineer Podcast, and I'm Maryann Rosen, bringing you stories, history, or lore from or about the mountains you live in. Winter in the Peak to Peak, the air frosty, snow flying, blustering wind making music as it blows through the naked trees. The scene inside, cozy and warm, sitting in front of a dancing fire, snuggled in a toasty blanket, drinking hot chocolate, tea, or coffee, and a book in hand. The weather may change with rain, sun, or warmth, replacing the cold and the flakes. Location may also move to the forest or yard, or by the creek. Garb may be different, refreshment as well, all dependent on the season, but the comforting, restful feeling remains. So too the book. For many, reading is a means of learning and or entertainment and or a means to rest or escape. In a recent report which asked those who had read books in the past 12 months to name what they liked most about reading, 26% said their main reason for reading was to learn, gain knowledge, or discover information. 15% cited the pleasures of escaping reality, becoming immersed in another world, or enjoying the feeling that they got from using their imaginations. Still another 12% stated that they loved the entertainment value of reading, the drama of great stories, the tension while witnessing a good plot unfold, the relationship with the book's characters. 12% more expressed that they enjoyed the relaxation and quiet time reading provided. The remaining reasons given were finding out more about topics which already interested them, finding spiritual enrichment, expanding their worldview, or being challenged mentally by reading. 2% of respondents actually listed their primary pleasure for loving reading simply as the physical properties of tomes, their feel, their smell. Reading forms connections, a knowing that you are not alone. Alan Bennett voiced it well when he said, "The best moments in reading are when you come across something, a thought, a feeling, a way of looking at things, which you had thought special and particular to you. Now here it is, set down by someone else, a person you have never met, someone even long dead perhaps, and it is as if a hand has come out and taken yours." Of course, to those who list reading as one of their favorite pursuits, all of the aforementioned come into play and are true. Ask someone who loves to read about their pastime, and you might hear words such as stress-free escape, nice way to relax, diverting, entertaining, and educational, that reading draws them away from reality, takes them away like a movie in their head. Other things you may hear are that books allow you to live a life in your mind, to be able to experience many time periods, places, and events. Publications allow you to learn about other people and places, or about yourself. Reading is also a way to get outside of that self. For those of us who remember public service announcements or programs to encourage reading, or who have ever watched Reading Rainbow, the phrase reading is fundamental will resonate. Teachers providing vacation or summer reading lists, libraries and bookstores providing fun prizes to those who read a certain number of volumes in a prescribed amount of time were and are still ways to encourage reading. This leisure activity, however, is not for everyone. A newly released Economist YouGov poll about reading habits found that out of 1,500 Americans surveyed, 46% finished 0 books last year. If you read more than 2 books, you are in the top half of U.S. adults. This statistic seems to spread across all genders, ages, socioeconomic status, or political views. Those of us who read more than 50 books are in the top 1% of people who read more books than 99% of their fellow Americans. It is good to note, however, that 85% of homes have at least one physical book, and 49% own at least one electronic one. 25% of people own at least 100 books, 7% own 500, and 3% own more than 1,000. Physical books still remain about twice as popular as their electronic counterparts. Great news for bookstores. History and mysteries tend to be the top 2 favorite genres. Now, this story is not to convince people to read. However, there are several reasons which researchers have discovered over the years that point to reading being a wonderful thing to try to do and how it can positively affect your life. Continue listening and find out more when the story continues after this message.
Coming to the Peak to Peak is an expanded special section to the Mountaineer newspaper, Health and Wellness Guide, Body, Mind, Spirit. Traditionally around this time, we like to include a list of health and wellness professionals across the Peak to Peak inside the newspaper. Last year, we had such a positive response from the community, we decided to expand those listings into a special section to the paper and a standalone publication. Inside, you will find business highlights and information along with a list of resources to have your best year ever. It's all about body, mind, and spirit while living life in the mountains. Deadline is approaching fast. If you are interested in placing an ad or including your business or service, reach out to marketing@themountaineer.com.
And now, returning to our story. There is nothing like the smell of old books or the crack of a new one's spine. And as it turns out, diving into a page-turner can offer benefits for your health and happiness. Some of these benefits have scientific research to back them up. Some are still being studied. Reading has been shown to strengthen the brain just as exercise strengthens the body. It builds vocabulary, reduces stress, aids sleep, expands knowledge, helps one to relax, and seems to improve focus and concentration. Research has found a likely causation between reading and analytical thinking skills, mental stimulation, memory improvement, prevention of cognitive decline, some alleviation of depression, a lengthening of lifespan, and it might even help to fight Alzheimer's, though more research in that area is needed. Another benefit to reading is that it can make us more empathetic. It has the power to help readers understand what others are thinking by reading other people's emotions. Surprisingly, literary fiction has the most impact according to research published in Science. Last is that research shows that diving into a good book opens up a whole world of knowledge, and when doing so from an early age, it seems to increase intelligence. As the saying goes, the more you read, the more things you will know, the more that you learn, the more places you'll go. Research also shows that there is some connection to actually reading a book as opposed to an electronic device when it comes to remembering what you are reading. As it has been found, the paper pages under your fingertips seems to provide your brain with some context, which in turn can lead to a deeper understanding and better comprehension of the subject you are reading about. All of this information is important to know, especially during a time when funding for libraries is decreasing in some areas and books are being pulled. For this story, however, we will take this knowledge back with us to our original scenario at this story's beginning. Our snug, homey, welcoming peak-to-peak interior winter scene. This time with an additional element. The book in hand is one written by an author from Gilpin County or Netherlands, or based in or is about this same area. You would have a good selection to choose from. Maybe you would sit lost in a history of the area or various towns or mining along the peak-to-peak or Netherlands. One could spend pleasant, mellow days during this winter perusing the pages of one of the following. Recognized as experts when it comes to Rawlins Pass and the Moffat Tunnel, Gilpin County residents B. Travis and Kate Wright's books, Rawlins Pass, Image of America, and Rawlins Pass, Past and Present, could fit that bill. For studying and gathering information, other books that may hold your interest and expand knowledge might be Central City and Gilpin County Then and Now by Robert L. Brown, or Gilpin County Gold, Peter McFarland, 1848 to 1929, a mining entrepreneur in Central City by H. William Axford. Caroline Bancroft, whose master's thesis subject was Central City, wrote 2 books about mining, history of the area, and lost buried treasure in the peak-to-peak. Gulches of Gold, A History of Central City, and Colorado's Lost Gold Mines and Buried Treasure, a book of 30 romantic and fabled tales, may be 2 books to help your imagination soar. One could also escape to another time while reading David Forsyth's Images of America, Black Hawk and Central City, a publication which follows the mining history, the opera house, and the introduction of legalized gambling in the area. You could also stimulate your brain reading Kay Turnbau's Around Nederland or The Last of the Wild West Cowgirls. If memoirs are your means of escaping and relaxing, then cuddle up with Bo Schaffer's Colorado's Iceman and the Story of the Frozen Dead Guy, a read which brings you on an 18-year journey as the caretaker to the cryogenically preserved body of Bredel Morstel, stored in Netherlands during that time. Immerse yourself in another world as you rapidly read Karen Ovenen's memoir, Rough Beauty. Envision her 10 years of living alone in a wood stove-heated cabin on top of a mountain in order to live in solitude as a writer. Ovenens still resides outside of Rawlinsville within the Roosevelt National Forest. If none of these have piqued your interest, then visualize the imagery of the local Netherlands landmark, the Carousel of Happiness, as you gain insight into its history while reading Don't Delay Joy, the story of the Carousel of Happiness by Netherlands author Jeanette Keane Taylor. Told in stories, songs, poems, and historical narrative, the book creates delight. If empathy is truly garnered by reading fiction, then the Peak-to-Peak has that genre covered as well. Cynthia Wolfe, a Colorado-born and raised award-winning author, wrote the 4-book Central City Bride series, all based in that Peak-to-Peak mountain town. Pick up and be entertained by The Dancing Bride, The Sapphire Bride, The Irish Bride, or The Pretender Bride. Maggie Brendan's work of fiction, Twice Promised, will whisk you away into the world of mail-order brides during mining's heyday in Central City. If your creative powers are awoken and inspired by fantasy and time travel, then relax and spend quiet time with The Mirror by Boulder author Marlis Milheiser. This novel, which begins in modern-day Boulder, is a time travel thriller which brings the main character 100 years into the past to Nederland, where she inhabits her grandmother's body while living in this small mining town. Inventive, originative, historical, and creative works abound. I realize that there are many more authors and books that I have not mentioned, and for that I am sorry. But one should definitely check out local libraries and local bookstores for more. So, if you can visualize yourself pleasantly relaxing by the warmth of a fire, or in a beautiful aspen grove, or by the edge of the creek near trees, lost within the pages of another time and place, whether reading has just roused your interest, you are already an avid reader, or you are somewhere in the middle, pick up an opus in your favorite genre about anything, anywhere, or anyone, or perhaps by a local author, or written about the mountains that you live in. Happy reading until the next mountain tale. Listen in next time to the Mountain Ear Podcast for another mountain tale. I'm Maryann Rosen. Thank you for listening.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak-to-Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.